Hello and good evening. Hope you're doing great. Hi, Charlene, and hi, Quizboard Train. Good to see you. Happy Sunday to you too. Okay, so just a couple of things before we get started today. First of all, let me just drop the link to the community showcase in case you have things you want to show off. Okay, and yeah, just wanted to remind you that Crit is coming up again this year, so details on screen. I'll also drop a link so that you know where to find it. So, registrations will not be open till April, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, just go trying to help get the hype up for this. I will be running at least 2 sessions. I have a few more planned, but that depends on what we can fit in. Okay, so yeah, I've been running games here for the last few years. I think since before it was called Crit. It's always been a good time, and there are a lot of fun people to play with. Okay, so the plan for today is I'm going to continue working on these dwarves, mostly working on the horns or their helmets and the battle trombone here. Whoops, there we go. Might even want to zoom into that a bit. As soon as I find where I put all my settings. Okay, so this week I also went in and added some stuff. For example, I finished painting the blue parts of their helmets, cleaned up the base. So yeah, today I'll be focusing mostly on odds and ends like painting the horn on the helmet here. Oh, sorry, horn on the horn here. And the horns on these guys, plus some little odds and ends that I missed. For example, on this guy, I forgot to paint this part of his beard. It should focus up a bit more. Bear with me. Come on, do the thing. Okay, I'm not quite sure why, but this thing seems to keep losing focus every time. But yeah, the part I'm talking about is this one. That should be part of his beard, but I forgot to paint it earlier. Okay, also I've got some stuff to show off because I went to a used book sale yesterday and got hold of these. So that's the first four books from Traveller, which is a tabletop role-playing game published in 1977. Now these books, yeah, you can see that they're quite well loved. These aren't the original ones. These, oh wow, that's a lot of light. So these copies of the book are from the English edition, which was published in sometime between 1978 and 1982, if I remember correctly, because in 83 they released these as a single book. And I just thought it was a nice piece of history to have. So yeah, designed by Game Designers Workshop and published in the UK by Games Workshop. This is still way back when they were operating out of Hammersmith. I don't think I've ever played Traveler. To be honest, neither have I, but I've heard great things about it. Mostly about the character generation system, which can be a bit funky. This the game where your character can literally die before they come out of character creation, either through accident or old age. But yeah, I've had a quick skim through them because, as you can see, each book is quite small. They're even staple bound, so that's really old school stuff. But yeah, I mean the system is pretty straightforward, and it's got a really intricate mercantile system, which I really need to get into. But from what I can tell, it would be easy to scale that back down to a medieval or a 16th century world. So it's an interesting thing to look into, for example, for making more trading-oriented games, for example. And yeah, of course, we can have a few games of this when we figure out the rules. Okay, but back to painting. So what I'm going to be trying to do here is basically painting the horns along the lines of these patterns. It's going to be more important with the battle trombone than the others because the horns on the other models are quite small. Now, one thing that I can see here is that the colors tend from light on the bottom end to dark on the at the tip. I will probably reverse that for most of them. So, for example, in the case of these guys, I'm thinking dark at the bottom and light at the top, because otherwise that's going to be a bit funky over here, for example, where the horn is very close to the X handle, because that would be dark and on dark and it would lose a lot of contrast. Did you sniff the horns? No, I did not sniff the horns. And hello, Lisa. Okay, so the way I'm thinking is that if I do dark at the tips here, it's going to kind of blend in with the X handle, which I don't want. And also with the rest of the miniature is going to go like dark, bright, and then bright again, which I don't think I want. So I'd rather have bright, dark, and then bright again. They're stanky. Yeah, they tend to be. Now with the battle trombone, because it's got such a large surface area, I think it would be okay to go from with light here and then going darker as it goes around the miniature. So that's what I'm going to try. But what I would like to keep is the kind of texture that's going on here. So mostly on the lighter colored ones, because on the darker ones it's kind of very minimal. That's going to be tiny on these miniatures. Okay, once again, before I get started, let me drop in the community showcase link in case anyone wants to show off any of their work. And yeah, let's get started. Yep, it is. I'm not sure where they got it from. I mean, like they must have stolen it off a dragon, I guess, or something like that. They do that. Okay. Okay, so basically the colors I'm going to use today are Mars Black for the darkest parts. Then I'm going to blend it up with a little Rosiana. There's going to be a very thin band, especially around the smaller ones. and carnation pink for the very tops. Okay, I might take it up to full white, but for now I'm just thinking these three colors. Here you go. That's barely visible, but let's see. Yeah, that's the carnation pink over there. Okay, as usual, I'm going to take the paint to the water rather than watering the paint. As I mentioned a few times, I find it easier to do it this way because I find it a bit easier to control the dilution this way. It's blurry. Yeah, I'm going to move this out of the way in a second, and hopefully it should be a bit more clear once I get the miniatures out here. But yeah, I'm just mixing paint right now, so it's not really much of a problem. So, what's everyone working on? Or just hanging out? Okay, so yeah, let's just get this going up here. So, I'm also painting up the. There's a little like a metal piece, I would guess, where the horn meets the helmet. That's fine because I need to undercoat that in black anyway. And I'm only going up to about halfway because that's as far as I want the dark area to be. Okay, so Presbyterian is mostly hanging, trying to figure out the next build, and Dungeon Matron is working on a thumbnail. Nice. Trying to get in here without actually damaging the rest of the paint. This is one of those cases where I should really have planned this better. And what I'm looking for is I'm trying to make sure that they get all the way around. Okay, this guy is the same sculpt, so it's the same exact thing. As long as I remember to stay on camera. Now, right now, I'm using mostly the side of the brush, the edge of the brush to paint, because I just want to cover up as much as possible. Later on, when I'll be doing the stripes and things like that, I'll be using more of a motion along the horn. But for now, because I just want to get as much of it painted up as possible, I'm going across. Okay. So the horns on the next few are quite smaller, so this should go a little bit faster. These are going, because they're smaller, they're going to have a lot less detail now anyway. Okay, I want to be extra careful here because I don't want to damage that gold. So the way I planned the sort of planned the paint job here is not the best because I was like, yeah, what do I feel like painting today? As opposed to actually figuring out a process where, you know, painting the hard to reach areas first and then getting to the easier areas later to make sure it's easier to paint. So definitely not the best example to follow as far as planning goes. How are we doing with sound, by the way? Is the I know we had some crackling last time. Sound is good. Okay, thank you. That's good to know. So yeah, last Friday just popped open a voice hangout in Discord. Just started painting there. Got to hang out with Chris and Salty Nick and Laura. Just chatting while I painted, and yeah, time went by pretty quickly. I ended up doing about 4 hour session just messing around with these guys, which is not entirely healthy. I mean, because after a while your neck will start to feel it. Okay, so like I said, for this guy, I'm going the opposite way. So the darkest area will be around the tip, and we're going to go into a lighter color at the top here. I think I'll be going around halfway with this. Hey, Nick, good to see you. Nick has been very busy releasing YouTube shorts this week, so definitely go check them out later. Very carefully around that gold. Oops. And I think I want to take it up to around halfway here. Something like that. Okay, next. I'm going to go with a different brush and start off with the Rosjana. Okay. And this time I'm going to go with the strokes along the horn. Okay. Not sure if that's visible, but there, for example, you can see that I'm not going to go for a full coverage. I'm just making vertical stripes. With these smaller knobs, we're just going to be covering most of it later, so I'm just going to be a bit more liberal with it. But again, I'm trying to avoid having a straight line where the colors meet. Okay. Might be a bit too much, but it's okay. Now with these ones, we don't really need to worry about texture just yet. But with the other one, because with the horn, because that's going to be a bit larger, then that's something we're going to start adding in now. For these guys though, it's just trying to make sure that we don't get something that's too smooth. Okay. Again, always stripes. Hey, at the end, good to see you. And this will be completely one color by the time it gets here. And what I think I'll do is go for some wet blending here. Okay. So separate brush. This one's got black paint on it. And I'm going to try to make some lines going from the lighter part to the darker part. So what this doing is basically shifting paint around as well as mixing the black and the brown. The color looks a bit too strong around here in those lines, so I'm going to again just go over with some more wet blending. Just try to mute it a bit. So that might actually have been too much. So again, go to the lighter color. Okay, so I've set down some stripes there. What I'm going to do next is clean out the brush and try to move those stripes while they're still wet. Basically pulling the paint towards the dark area without actually adding any paint. A little bit more paint here. Okay. And from here on, we're basically going with the brighter color. Okay, let's get some dark in there again. This time we're going to favor the brighter color though. Okay, that will do for now. And we'll be back to this in a second. Okay, because now we're going to do the lightest area on these. That's too much water. Better. Okay, and as I mentioned before, if anyone has anything they want to show off, we'll be looking at the community showcase later today. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to go with stripes, but this time we're going to take it up to the tip of the horn. Okay, I'm just going to drag the tip of my brush to make sure I got a reasonably sharp point on it. Okay, not worrying about coverage right now again. Just creating those lines for now. Oops, sorry. Keep moving this off camera. I need to be more careful about that. Now it may not look like much, especially on these smaller horns, but does look much more interesting than a solid color, even if it's just a tiny bit of texture. And one thing you have to be really careful about here is make sure that you don't have too much water in your brush. Otherwise, you'll just end up spraying the rest of the miniature. Which would be bad. Okay, and every few passes, I'm going to be trying to re-establish that tip on the brush. I see I've made a mistake there because I've also painted the metal parts, but that's okay. Quick pass with a little black paint later will sort it out. By the way, Deanne, how is your Escalation League thing going? Have you played any games yet? It starts today and I have painted one mini. Okay. So we're just cranking up for it then. No, I think these helmets are really a safety hazard because if you're going to lift your hand to your helmet like that, there's a good chance you're going to get impaled on one of those horns. I'm going to show up and concede to my first opponent and ask them to show me how to play. I've never played in a tabletop game ever. Uh, to be honest, I think if you just show up there and tell your opponent that, hey, I've never played before, can you show me the ropes? I think they would be happy to play you anyway. There's no need to go into the whole conceding thing and everything. I mean, it's not a universal thing, but quite a lot of tabletop players are usually more than happy to show other players the ropes. No, I would say that's a pretty bold move. It's like, yep, I know nothing. Let's go into a league. I guess you're going to learn very quickly that way. Okay. So what I've been doing here is, apart from making the stripes as before, I'm also trying to preserve that thin dark line between the gold and the rest of the trombone. Is it a trombone even? I mean, it's like a massive horn, but anyway. My musical knowledge is very limited when it comes to these instruments. Okay, now what I would do probably is go for some more with blending, but to be honest, what I really need to do right now is just hop to the bathroom really quickly, so I will be back in 5 minutes. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So sorry for that. The weather is quite cold and I'm rather hydrated. But what we have now is basically an interrupted wet blend because that paint is now too dry to do the same trick on. Not much of a problem. We're just going to go over it with another layer. Oh, it's not even a criticism. I mean, like, look, anytime you get a chance to play, go play. It's a great thing to do. But especially in, I don't know if these are people that you've played, sorry, you knew before or whatever, but mostly it's a good idea to let your opponent know that, hey, you're a beginner at this or whatever, because basically if they go in there thinking, okay, I'm going to play against a pro or a semi-pro or whatever, or someone who's experienced, they go in with a certain mindset, and it can be a bit harder to switch into teaching mode. But yeah, I mean, like most tabletop gamers of any kind that I've met are always happy to you know bring someone new into the fold, so to speak. So that's really not a big problem or anything. Okay. So with this exposure, it's going to be a bit difficult to see, I think. But basically, what I'm doing here is putting very thin stripes. Oh, that wasn't so thin. Through here. See if I can lower the exposure. Okay, it's a bit darker, but you should be able to see what I was trying to achieve there. So those lines are absolutely too thick, so I'm going to go back with the lighter color now. So I'll just be playing up and down with this. Set down a fresh line of orange, and now I'm just going to be blending that white into it. No, it's carnation pink, not white, but you get the idea. I already play Magic at that same friendly local gaming store, and they noticed my Warhammer dice and invited me to play in their escalation league. Thought it was foolish to say no since it sounds like a lot of fun. Yep, it is a lot of fun. Do it. And yeah, I mean, let us know how it goes once you get some games in, because I'm sure you have a great time. I mean, a lot of times, even as a, shall I say, a more mature player, like an older player, like, anyway, someone who's had several games in, sometimes even losing games can still be a lot of fun, just because some spectacular things happen. Why is the paint not painting properly? What am I doing wrong? I think the base is still too wet. Okay, so Quiz Bertrand, excited to hear how it goes, the end. Definitely. And Quiz Bertrand, I'll be sure to report back all my losses. Not just losses, I mean, like, achieve objectives. Go, do it. Okay, so that's more or less where I want it to be because I'll add another lighter layer top once that dries. But what I'm seeing here, for example, is that there's too much contrast between here and here. So I'll try to lighten up this area now. Operative word being dry. Thing is, I've mostly done this on some skeleton miniatures where the surface area is so much smaller. So we can get away with far larger mistakes. Because this one is a large area, it's a bit more unforgiving. You know, that's one thing I wish I could do more of. Uh, some kind of tabletop war gaming online because with tabletop role playing games it's fairly straightforward, but with for tabletop war games, unless everyone has tabletop simulator or something, it's a lot trickier. It's doable. I mean, like I was in at least one wartime campaign online, which was quite a lot of fun. But it's not as easy as playing a tabletop role playing game online. Tabletop simulator is godsend for most and it runs on modest hardware. Yeah, I mean it's a fantastic piece of software. Now, for anyone who is wondering, yeah, this what I'm painting now will probably never be visible to anyone after I take photos and put it up because this will always be hidden by the rest of the regiment. But I want to have done it if that makes any sense. So on the plus side, I mean, even if I mess it up terribly, it's no big deal because again, it will be functionally invisible. But if I get it really right and looking real nice, then it's like, yeah, no one will ever see that. Oh well, I'll know it's there. Yeah, I think that actually works better. So instead of just brightening up this part, I think I might also darken up this bit a little more. So lighten this up, darken this. So I put down that black stripe in there, and I'm just going to feather it out with a slightly damp brush. I think it's fascinating how which games work well with terrain and minis and others don't. Wargaming works great with terrain and minis, but Call of Cthulhu not so much. I would say that Wargaming really needs some kind of terrain and minis, even if they're just tokens, because it's most of it is about positioning and movement. You can't really do theater of the mind because positioning is such a large part of it. Okay, and yeah, for anyone wondering, these are acrylics. It's safe to put the brush in your mouth. Not necessarily advised, but it's relatively safe. Do not do this with oil paints, obviously. Then again, if you're using oil paints, you probably don't need my my input on anything related to paints. Okay, and another thing regarding to paint selection, again, I'm using Mars Black here, which is a like a really deep reddish brown, which is why I'm getting this finish when I dilute it and when I feather it out. If you do this with Ivory Black, for example, you get a completely different result. And what I'm doing here is basically sculpting the paint, moving it around, replacing it, and so on. I technically don't have any paint on the brush, it's just the stuff I'm picking up as I move it. Now I'm going to add some paint, so I picked up some more paint with the brush. Cleaned it off again, and now it's just moving the paint again. If I can brighten up this part, that should be enough before we go into the highlight. Okay, it's a bit shiny because it's a bit wet still, but we can work from there. So what I'm going to do next on this is basically put up some highlight which is in line with the highlight on the gold, so it will follow this curve. And yeah, I will need to let it dry a bit for that. So let's just finish off the rest of the horse. Now this is when I'll start thinking about coverage on these. That will look great when the, yeah, I hope so. Smooth blends. Oh, thank you. Yeah, think the I think the best blends I ever did were on a gold wizard miniature, because basically I said, okay, I'm just going to use this miniature to learn how to blend properly. So it was everything on that miniature was blended except the face and stuff, obviously, but the robes and stuff, it was all wet blends. So as far as learning experiences go, that was pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Just got a white at the top and a little texture there. At this point on these guys, we don't really need to put a lot more detail in there, just make sure they look clean. Okay, so for this guy, this should be enough, for example. Okay, just enough in there just to make sure that the horn is clearly distinct from his hand. Okay, let's see if this guy is dry enough. And it looks like he is, yeah. Okay. So let's start to build up that highlight. So again, I want to follow the highlight that I have on the gold over there. And I'm going to paint it in the same way that we did the highlight on the gold. So it's like tiny vertical lines. And just give it some texture. The gloss varnish later on will add to the effect, but it's good to start it off like that for now. This might actually be a bit much. So let's see if I can try to nip it away. Just swabbing it very gently. And now we can re-establish that. I I will take a photo of this and post it in the community showcase along with the other stuff because I think this is the camera is not really picking up the texture in it. And yeah, ideally we should be able to see what's going on here. Nearly there. Not exactly the way that I had hoped it would turn out, but I think I'm pretty happy with this. I'm so jealous, my hands shake too much to do that. I mean, unless it's a chronic thing, there are a bunch of things you can do to reduce shaking. You won't like them because one of them is drink less coffee. Don't need to see. Here. Other things you can do to reduce shaking, definitely use paint handles. They make a massive amount of difference. If I don't use paint handles, we're about 1 hour 40 minutes in. If I was not using a paint handles, my hand would cramp and then I would start shaking. Let's see other things. Okay, get into this kind of position. So basically, you're bracing the one arm against your chest, and then the other arm is in contact with that. This makes a massive amount of difference. So basically, you're holding the brush like this, hands together. If the hand is floating around on its own, it's going to make it much harder, and you will start shaking. The other stuff is again keep the paint sessions shorter because part of that is fatigue. Like if you start getting tired, then you will start shaking. You'll start making mistakes and stuff like that. Oh. And I should move around more often because yeah, my neck is feeling it now. Okay, let's go have a look at the community showcase because I see that things have been dropped in there. Okay, first up is the end. Painted the sky Friday night. Oh, nice. I like the leather effect you've got going there, and the shading on the cloak is sweet. And the bone is pretty clean as well. Yeah, this is really good. So I'm not sure at what stage this is in, but for example, definitely I'd look to put a bit more contrast on the text on there. But yeah, other than that, I mean, this is looking fantastic. And yeah, Kim is asking what is tied to the cloak. Let's see. They look like tiny coffins, kind of thing. The rope tied to the cloak holding his tokens need to paint dark wine or resist stone. Okay. Yeah, that will really help punch up the contrast. But yeah, I mean, like the cloak itself is done as far as I can tell. It's looking real good. Nice. Oh, dog. It's a dog, right? Yeah, I really like where this is going. Okay, next up is from Chris Bortolin. A dice tower from Yellowhammer, and she's painted this and added a few rhinestones and decorations. Uh, I believe there's a full video of the process on her channel. See? No, to be honest, I'm not really I don't really see the appeal of dice towers, but this one is really good looking. Plus, it's got this compartment inside that you can pack in cards or miniatures or stuff, so it's actually quite functional. And yeah, I like both sides, but I find the this bronze dark leather thing it looks very neat. Okay, and let's see. Okay, this is where we ended up today. So that's basically the kind of striations I was going for, just not the exact shade, but it's good enough. Yeah, he's. Thanks. And yeah, well done everyone for this stuff because again, this is looking amazing, and I look forward to see the finished model. And yeah, this looks really terrifying. Okay, I think I'll call it done for today because the rest of the stuff is literally picking up odds and ends and smaller stuff like that. And this will be the last painting Sunday for a few weeks at least, because we've got some interviews and other streams coming up. What I'll be doing is I'll be saving the painting Sundays to the Sundays where I have training so that, you know, if someone shows up for an interview, I don't want to be there like, yeah, I'm a rough day, I'm half dead, I'm just no energy and stuff like that. So we'll save the painting for those days. Next week we've got an interview stream with not one but two Erics who will be talking to us about their naval Viking naval warfare game. So that should be fun. Anyway, again, Everyone, thanks for hanging out and for sharing your stuff in the showcase. And I hope you have a lovely week. Bye.